Pass of Exile 2, Dawn of the Hunt. Monk completely destroyed by GGG. But I got best leveling build for Monk you need. So let's start from this place. We're in Clearfell right now and you will find abandoned stash. In this camp you will guarantee yourself another uncut skill gem. And here is our initial setup. Yeah, while as Monk you can use this Thunder Strike, no one using it because from area 2 and so on monsters will become so fast that there is no time to do this long attack. We need to cut ourselves nice skills and use them for our advantage. And as you can guess, standing in melee range is not the most optimal setup most of the time. Frozen Locus is a nice skill, by the way. It have nice damage and you can use it if you want to use, as in my previous guide. But we will use Glacial Cascade right now. So Glacial Cascade is our first skill we engrave, and second skill will be in Elemental part. In Elemental part there's a Frost Bomb. So it's really nice combination of skills. Let me explain why. And why we're not making two quarter-staff skills. Glacial Cascade is ice skill. It will convert your physical damage to cold damage, therefore you will deal some cold damage. But Frost Bomb will make enemies exposed to ice, to cold damage, as well as dealing nice damage. So that's basically our initial early game setup. And when enemies in melee range, we still can use our basic melee attacks. So let's jump straight into Mudburrow and fight boss over here for another skill gem. So we entering Wild Nest and here is the worm. Strategy is simple, you put ice bomb and then start hitting him from the range, and it will be enough damage to finish any enemy at this point of the game. Just make sure they standing still or at least not moving as fast as this worm, and when he's finally stuck, maybe right now, yeah, just right now, we can unleash await attacks if needed, and then unleash more and more. As you can see, damage is pretty good for like starting class without any gear. After finishing the boss, we will get skill level 2. So make sure to get back to Clearfell encampment, because he will give us uncut support gem. And that's very nice. After you will find a way to Grelwood, you will find Witch Hut, where after defeating a rare monster, you will get guaranteed support gem again. So what we want to do with this support gem? We actually want to infuse our weapons with extra power, our skills. All skills will have 2 slots initially, but you can unlock 5 slots later. It looks like we can get only 3 different kinds of bonuses, but that's not really it, since there's a button which says show all. If you're playing on PC, it will be over here, so you just click it and you will see a lot more options. So now we can choose wherever we actually like. And for Glacial Cascade we're going with Martial Tempo, because Glacial Cascade is very slow skill, we are attacking very slowly. This support gem alone gives us more than 10% DPS instantly. But since we're doing frost damage, it's nice to have Cold Infusion, for example. Still, Cold Infusion is not perfect, because you will get damage as extra cold damage, but you will deal less fire and lightning damage. And if you're using quarterstaff with some nice lightning damage on it, it's not a great idea. And what is a great idea is to use concentrated effect. You will lose some area of effect for skill, but you will deal 30% more area damage. More means it will be multiplicative, it means you will be a lot more powerful. Yeah, just like that. So, Uncut Skill Gem level 2, what we can do with it? You can't get level 3 skills yet, you need level 6 actually, and Uncut Skill Gem level 3. So with this you can only level up your skills, and of course we're going to level up Glacial Cascade for more damage. There's one more option though. While we're still dealing nice damage, actually we're clearing enemies not very fast yet. Another option is to use Frozen Locus and be completely lore accurate Ice Monk, or you can go with another option. Another option will be to use Contagion. So, level 2 Contagion will be only available for you if you got 9 intelligence. To get 9 intelligence, there's 2 options. You can have gear with +5 intelligence, or just plus a little bit of intelligence, or you can go and level up one attribute over here. So just level up intelligence over here for now, you then can respec it later. And that's the option I will show you right now, because it's really powerful and it's really what I suggest you to use. So how it looked like. Basically we're attacking and destroying enemies in one hit already, without changing anything. That's how powerful support gems is. But at the same time, if you use Contagion, it will deal damage over time to enemies. As you can see, he's slowly being destroyed. But whenever he is destroyed completely, he will spread this disease to another enemies with even more power. That's how it works. So our strategy is really simple to clear packs. You don't need any timing at all. You just spread Contagion and do attacks. And basically it will spread among all enemies and they will be destroyed. As you can see, there's a lot of crap on the ground, so if you don't want to see this crap, actually there's a nice cool option, and option is really simple. You just need to use item filter, and I got my leveling item filters in my Discord. You can go and check link in the description. So let's jump to the next part of the game, where you finally get your skills of level 3 and higher. We are making Tempest Bell. Yeah, Tempest Bell was insanely insane skill, but right now it got nerfed to the ground. Luckily, at the time I'm recording, they already reverted one of the changes, and basically how it works. You need combo. Combo is melee attacks. So you do melee attacks and you get your combo. Then, when you get 4 combo, you can use Tempest Bell, you will place it on the ground, it will deal impact damage, first with your attack damage, and then it will release shockwaves while you attacking it. And before Tempest Bell we're doing elemental damage. Right now it's doing physical damage based on how many different elemental alignments on this bell. Basically, if you hit elemental bell with something of cold damage, it will deal a little bit more physical damage. That's basically how it works. And Tempest Bell will help you a lot in boss fights. Yeah, you can still do like it all the way. You can use your Frost Bomb, you can use Glacial Cascade later and basically fight from the distance. Or you can go and be a real monk, real man. You just do your attacks, do your combination for attacks and slam your melee attacks. Bell is really powerful. And as you can see, I can place one bell after another bell after another bell, and just like that. It's also builds a lot of stun, and we can easily stun enemies. Then we can use our skills, for example, and when we need to stay in the distance, like this, when we need to wait, we're just going away, coming close, and that's the real monk, the real gameplay of the monk, how it should be. Not like before the patch, you drop 1 bell, 2 bell, 3 bell, they all stack. Right now bells don't stack, you can place only 1 bell, at least that's what patch note says. And when you're in danger, just go away and finish him from the distance. Yeah, that's how we fight right now with our perfect monk. So, we became a little bit more powerful. Oh my god, one more legendary. Pretty cool one. I will use it. Anyway, what support gems we're using on Tempest Bell? So, when you get some support gems, you want to use Overabundance. It will give you +1 to limit. It will shorten the duration of the bell. Basically, it will be destroyed a lot faster, or will stay for less seconds, but it doesn't matter, while you can get another bell while you're hitting the first bell. And second one is Rage. Basically, when you place the bell and hit it with melee damage, you will gain 3 Rage on melee hit, and Rage is extra damage, 1% more damage per Rage. So, you hit bell like 6 times, 10% more damage instantly. And after clearing everything over here, we will get to the next location, to Hunting Grounds. So, what's so special in Hunting Grounds? Actually, not Hunting Grounds itself. Yeah, in Hunting Grounds you can find some bosses and get extra passive points. By the way, passive skill tree in the next segment of this video, but right now. The boss will have actually no chance against us. We're doing insanely good, nice, powerful combinations. We can use our bell, basically put the bell, start shooting. When you see a purple effect of this boss, try to run and move around. When you're seeing a red effect on you, then just stop. That's basically how this boss works, in case you didn't know. And that's why we need it. So as you can see, he's standing in the red ground right now, and we're not able to come close to him. We're not able to go and do our combination. That's why you need different attacks and different ways to inflict damage in Pulse of Exile 2, at least in this state of the game. And it's pretty nice state. A lot of people actually mad because it's not one button and everything is destroyed. It's a little bit hard for guys who basically only play one button builds, but for me it's fine, it's pretty fun. What's your opinion on this state of the game, by the way? Do you like how it looks right now or not? But we got our Gambloom Skull, so we're getting maximum spirit. Yeah, spirit is another resource in Path of Exile 2, and you also will get spirit gem, so we can cut it and we can get a bunch of cool stuff. It's basically buffs. You can get a lot of buffs, but again, different weapon buffs will force you to have different attributes. As Monk, we're going with mostly dexterity, with a little bit of intelligence on top. That's why we need to pick something from Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice. And for this build, we're going for Herald of Ice. It can't be evaded, it will explode enemies who is frozen. So yeah, we will freeze enemies in no time, but right now we get no ability to freeze them still. I mean, we get ability, we're doing normal attacks, but we're not freezing them constantly. So to being able to freeze enemies, finally freeze enemies, you need to advance through the game a little bit further, and that's where our build will be actually finished. So we need to go to Ogam Village and defeat boss in this location to get Uncut Skill Gem level 5. Skill Gem level 5 can be only used when you reach level 14, yeah, and you will reach level 5 skills, which will be Ice Strike. So let's go straight to level 14. But at this point of the game, I finally recommend you to get rid of Contagion. It will be like useless, a little bit too weak right now for us, and we are finally speccing into fully Ice Monk version of our build. Finally, I recommend to get Frozen Locus in your arsenal. What we will have right now is our main combination. We will have Glacial Cascade as our range damaging ability, and its payoff. Yeah, so what does it mean? Basically, payoff skills will have extra effects with some type of effect, but it will consume it and it won't be able to inflict it. That's why it can't inflict freeze, but it will consume freeze and will deal explosion. Explosion is actually pretty powerful, 158% of attack damage, and also while consuming freeze it will deal 350% more damage. How we can use it? In combination with Frozen Locus and Frost Bomb. Frost Bomb will expose enemies to cold damage, so we will deal more cold damage. Frozen Locus will create Crystal, and while Frozen Locus not dealing a lot of damage, Explosion deals a lot of damage, 300% of your basic damage. And that's basically how it works. It works like that. You're doing Frost Bomb, Frozen Locus, and then shoot with your ability. So that's Monk combination, yeah. Right now, Path of Exile tries to make you use this combination, and that's how you use them, basically. That's how you use them, that's how they work. Expose, do this crystal, destroy crystal with range attack, enemies is frozen and destroyed. While at the same time, they will spread this like damage with Herald of Ice all the time between them. Make sure you're activating spirit skills, so Herald of Ice activated, and we're ready to go. So let's spawn lots of monsters. I hope they won't be like, everyone will be like so fast. But look here, expose and combination. Expose, run, destroy. Yeah, Ice Monk still playable and you actually can play like that pretty easily. Yeah, we're in Act 1 right now, but come on, he will be pretty good and pretty fine later on in the game too. Before we get to the full combination, let's actually take a look at passive skill tree and what we want to learn over there, what we want to use. So before, if you played Monk before, basically the most obvious and correct path was to go to the top right and get these nodes with more damage, that's like really powerful ones, with more attack speed, more attributes, and then going straight over here to get resonance, to get your charged stuff, and then you will be able to do lightning and cold damage at the same time, nice critical nodes, and then you can scale critical. Basically that's how Monk were played before. Then you're going to the top right and over here. But while you're leveling, actually it's not the most correct path right now, because Monk got nerfed a lot. You don't have completely broken bell skills, so My way to play is to go forward with attack damage part, basically over here. Of course, attack damage over critical damage right now. In the end game, you want to change it. Of course, in the end game, we will scale critical hit a lot, but right now, when you're leveling, you want flat damage. You want like 100% sources of damage. So we're going with skill speed, attack damage, attack and casting speed. Then we're going with more skill speed and mana regeneration. Again, if you're having problems with Monk with mana regeneration, probably you went into wrong direction. You need to go over here to have more skill speed, use your skills faster, freeze enemies faster, and have mana regeneration. Then we get in these nodes with stats. So there's actually like another way where how you can spec over here. You can waste a little bit more time while you're leveling if you don't need this dexterity. Maybe you found some gear with nice dexterity, with stats, and you don't need them. Then just don't pick this skill speed and go over here. Increase evasion and energy shield. It will give you a lot of survivability. Over here you will get movement speed and mana regeneration, more stats, and then you go to freeze build up and extra cold damage. So freeze build up was nerfed significantly in this patch. That's why, as Frozen Monk, you need to do stuff that you're supposed to do. You're not using broken stuff, you're using smart stuff. We will freeze enemies. And if you're enjoying this Frozen Monk style, definitely leave a comment and a like for this video and let me know that you're waiting for full guide with a written guide on Maxwell or Mobalytics, wherever. I will do full written guide for the full build. But right now, basically, skill tree will look like this. We will go here and get attack damage node over here with chance to blind enemy with attacks. It will give us survivability as well as damage. And then we're going basically over here and to the right side. It's the most fastest way to go over here to finally get to this part of the tree, and that's where we want to live for like mid-late gameish situation until we get to the map situations. Basically what we want to go and get this quarter stuff over here to increase freeze build up with quarter stuff. This will give us a lot of freeze build up and we will finally be able to freeze enemies with our attacks with ease. And then we can just roam around, get some like critical damage. Maybe we can get down here for herald damage. It's also very powerful to increase our cold damage. And basically you can like live over here with more dexterity, evasion, attack speed. If you need protection, then you just go for evasion and maximum energy shield. But actually, like after this part with quarter stuff, then you want to go back over here and get resonance and get charged stuff skill. It's not super important, you can live even without it, and you can beat campaign even without it and go to the maps as full ice monk. You don't need any other shenanigans, but still having some lightning damage in your arsenal is very nice. So let's go defeat this boss, and then we will get our level 5 skill and level 14 as well to use it. How to get this skill? Actually, it's not dropping from the boss. You need to get back to encampment, talk with Ladies, and she will give us this skill, level 5. Now I basically will give you a game plan for the whole game, but right now we're building and creating Ice Strike. It's a combination of 3 attacks, and you will need some intelligence to use it. So if you messed up stats like me, don't forget, you can just refund your passives and change stats however you need at this point of the game. So right now we will need to make a little bit of adjustments and changes, especially in our support gems and our overall like strategy. So right now Ice Strike will be our main damaging skill. It converts your like physical damage 80% to your cold damage, and now we finally can freeze them pretty easily and hit and basically fight like this. From this point of the game, we're basically starting to play as melee monk. We freeze enemies and we're starting to hit another enemy and another enemy, and it will be almost completely like dumped down gameplay to this. So we'll just go hit, we generate combination. If you find some really strong enemy, you just press your bell, you start hitting your bell and defeat enemies like this. If you find very strong enemies that you need to make some combination, then our combination again is pretty simple. You need to expose him to cold damage, do attacks, place the bell, hit the bell. You can actually do this ice crystal and also freeze enemies like this. And when you're scary and you don't know what to do, for example, a lot of monsters going out on you and you need some protection, you're going into a range mode. So yeah, if you're feeling really like scared, you're just going into this ice crystal, you put this ice crystal and consume freezes. It will create explosions, deal more damage with our range attacking skill, but basically don't try to use it all the time because it consumes freeze. So for example, let me find like little one enemy like this. Yeah, this will work. He is frozen, but if I hit frozen enemy with my range attack, it will consume freeze and destroy freeze, and we want enemies to stay frozen. Especially it's important against bosses. Yeah, against bosses it's really important. You want to freeze them and hit them, not destroy this freeze. You may time it perfectly. For example, you just freeze enemy, do a few attacks, and then do a range attack. It will create a large explosion and deal loads of damage. For support gems, we're using basically the same setup. We're using Overabundance and Rage on our Bell. We're using Martial Temper, Concentrated Effect on Ice Strike. But we get a lot of other skills that we can enhance with support gems. It's not as important right now, but I will give you tips. Right after I will explain what skills you will get later in the game when you advance. So, Freezing Mark is really nice and powerful stuff to increase freeze build-up on enemies. But we already got 5 skills on our hot bar, so it's really hard to drop everything. At this point, actually, I like to drop Forest Bomb and stop exposing my enemies to cold damage. It's completely fine. And instead we're switching into Freezing Mark. Or you can still play with Bomb, use Freezing Mark. And later in the game, when you unlock Hand of Chayula, you will use Hand of Chayula. You can insert Freezing Mark in Hand of Chayula, as well as Hypothermia. That will actually lower resistance to cold damage. So that's basically our combination later in the game for this slot of our active hotbar. And then basically build is done. So build is done right now. Technically you don't need anything else. For optional or late game-ish stuff, actually you can forget Glacial Cascade when you feel okay in melee range. And instead of Glacial Cascade, we're finally getting charged stuff. Actually, that's around like Act 4, Act 5, when you feel completely comfortable in melee range all the time. And that's exactly when you unlock it, almost like to the end of Act 3. So at Act 4, Act 5, you will be able to get the skill. And we can finally forget our Glacial Cascade as our range stack and change slot for this. But again, to use charged stuff, you need to get power charges, basically be forced to use Combat Frenzy at that point of the game. We will use Combat Frenzy whenever we freeze enemies, we will get Frenzy charges. But with addition of Resonance, Keystone, we will get power charges instead. In complete late game-ish scenario, we will get a little bit more Spirit, up to 100. And that's where we will get Wind Dancer finally to get to the map, because you will get this extra spirit only in the latest parts of the game, and we finally will be able to get to the maps with extra dodge from Wind Dancer. It gives us evasion rating basically. For gear, just look for good maces, good quarterstaffs with extra physical damage, attack speed, critical damage, critical hit chance, elemental damage, as well as added cold damage. Added lightning damage is also nice, added fire damage is not good for this build especially, but that's fine. Now, finishing touches, what we can do with our skills basically. Herald of Ice, that's the skill that's doing only like cold damage at this point of the game. So you need to decide, if you're using Frozen Locus more than other skills, if you're using it often, then definitely go with Cold Infusion on Frozen Locus. If you don't like Cold Infusion on Frozen Locus, then you can switch it to Herald of Ice. And that's actually what I'm doing most of the time. I want Herald of Ice to actually shatter my enemies. For Frozen Locus, I'm going with Ice Bite, because I will use it a lot every now and then, and whenever we freeze enemies with Frozen Locus, we will get 35% of damage as extra cold damage. That's really powerful stuff. So, therefore we will need some way to make sure we freeze enemies with Frozen Locus, and that's why I'm using Glaciation as next supportive gem over here. Another supportive gem we can use on Herald of Ice if you got some strength from your gear probably. You can use Execute, it will deal 50% more damage with hits against enemies that are on low life, and it's pretty fun to shatter and destroy enemies like that. And yeah, of course it's going on Glacial Cascade because it works only on hits. For Herald of Ice we're using Magnified Effect for more area of effect basically, and for Glacial Cascade we finish with Leverage. It will give us critical hit against immobilized enemies, so we're basically using this stuff only against frozen enemies, most of the time against enemies who is on a low life, and this will give us pretty nice and powerful glacial cascade. I hope you enjoyed this Ice Monk build and you will have a blast playing it in Path of Exile 2. Don't forget to drop a like and leave a comment if you wish to find how well he will perform on maps, and I will make this video sooner than later. And if you decided combinations is not for you and you want one button playstyle, go check out my ranger build, leveling build that you can use on Monk also.